A video by Breyers Canine Academy.
Welcome to Breyers Canine Academy, where we tally up all the ways to turn your dream dog into reality. I'm Luke Schneider, and today in this video, we're going to walk you through your dog's basic commands and visual cues. Now let me explain what I mean by that. We're going to talk about what each command means, what the correct execution of the command looks like, what common mistakes that you are going to need to look out for, and why we teach each behavior to your dog. Now the reason for that is that we want to make sure that our goal isn't just obedience. It's clarity specifically for you and your pup. We want your dog to understand its expectations, make good decisions independently of you, and stay engaged with you in real-world situations. So let's start with our first basic command, recall. When you perform a recall, you simply say your dog's name. Your dog should come all the way to you, line up beside you right next to your left leg while facing the exact same direction as you are. In reality, your dog should be mirroring your body position. You are setting the expectation for your dog. This places your dog in a neutral, controlled position and prepares them for what comes next. Now let's take a look at what incorrect recall looks like. These are some examples of what correct recall is not. Your dog coming halfway to you and stopping, your dog standing in front of you instead of lining up on your left side, if your dog circles you, if your dog comes to the right side, or does anything that isn't your dog lining up right next to your left leg, the recall is incomplete and your dog has not actually achieved the action you wanted it to. Now, when we're talking about recall, we use the dog's name because in real life, high-stress situations, often in public, when your dog is in danger, your instinct is going to be to yell their name. Because of that, the name must have a clear and powerful purpose. Come to me immediately and line up beside me. This is one reason why we actually recommend you give your dog a nickname. A nickname is a name that you can use freely with no expectations. And a nickname will prevent overuse of recall, it'll prevent diluting the dog's actual name, and it will prevent the dog from ignoring you, which is one thing you clearly don't want to happen when you're using recall. If you use your dog's real name too casually, sometimes it can lose its meaning and it can become unreliable to you when you truly need it. Now, the purpose of recall is that it's used anytime you need your dog to come to you quickly, be under control, be ready for any further instruction that you might have, and it's a foundational safety and control behavior for your dog. And that really is what recall is in a nutshell. Now let's take a look at heel and what the heel command is. The heel command means that your dog stays on your left side, whether you are moving or standing still, until you release them with the command free. Now, a proper heel position is that your dog should not be lagging behind your foot, and your dog's shoulder should line up with your hip. And in reality, your dog should stay within about 3 to 5 inches of your left leg. If your dog is more than 3 to 5 inches away, they're out of the heel position. If they're too far forward or too far behind, they're out of the heel position. Now, when your dog is in the heel position, we're going to talk about moving while in the heel position. And while in heel, your dog should adjust their body to match your movement, including walking forward, left turns in place, right turns in place, you stepping to the side, and even if you step backwards, your dog should realign its body both front and rear to stay with you exactly. Now let's talk a little bit about you, in particular your footwork and your position as a handler. When standing still, you should always step off with your left foot. Your left foot is your lead foot. It tells the dog where you're going, and of course your dog is looking for cues from you. You should always avoid turning your shoulders when you're making these movements. The point is that you want your dog to mirror its body with your body position. And if your shoulders or any other part of your body are moving around too much, it can be confusing for the dog. Now, while in heel, you're obviously going to reward your dog for doing heel correctly. So when using treats, you should only reward when your dog is properly lined up next to you. When stationary, your dog should also be giving you eye contact. And while in motion, eye contact is not required, but a correct position next to your left leg is. Now let's take a look at what not to reward, because this is almost just as important as what you should reward. You should never reward being too far ahead. You should never reward lagging behind. You should never reward zigzagging nor drifting away from your body. Now, why do we teach heel? We teach Heel to prevent pulling while on leash. We teach Heel to prevent lagging behind you or to zigzag and move around too frenetically. Heel will allow you to navigate crowded spaces, keep your dog out of people's personal space, as well as maintain engagement in very distracting environments. Heel is also very useful if you want your dog to walk with someone elderly, walk with a child, or eventually learn to run with you safely. And especially if you need someone to watch your dog who isn't you and they need to take your dog on a walk, perhaps a neighbor or a sitter, this is going to be very important in those moments as well. Now let's take a look at sit and what exactly sit means. Sit means to sit and to stay. Your dog should remain in the sit position until you release them with the free command or give them a different command entirely. Now let's take a look at correct sit behavior. When performed correctly, your dog should stay sitting regardless of you walking away, regardless of any distance that's being created, or you touching the ground, or you stepping out of sight. Regardless of what you do, your dog should stay sitting. It is your responsibility to clearly communicate when your dog is released from sitting or when you give another command. Now let's look at footwork when leaving a sit. If your dog is sitting beside you and you plan to walk away, step off with your right foot. This helps clarify that the dog should remain in place. Remember, stepping off with your left foot is for the dog to follow you. Stepping off from your right is when the dog should stay with the command you've given him. Next, let's take a look at down and what down means. When your dog performs the down command, their rear should be on the ground. Their elbows should also be touching the ground, and down generally follows the same rules as sit. Now, what is the purpose overall of sit and down? Sit and down are both useful anytime that you need your dog to stay in a designated place, remain calm, and maintain their impulse control. Next, let's take a look at what our visual cues are and why we use visual cues in the first place. Now, visual cues are signals that you're going to give to your dog about how to behave without you having to give verbal commands. They allow your dog to operate independently of you, make good decisions, and stay calm and structured in whatever environment you find yourself in. They also allow you to interact with your guests without constantly having to talk to your dog and give them the commands, which is very helpful if you have anybody over, family, friends, for any event whatsoever. Now let's take a look at some specific visual cues that we're going to work on, starting with default down. Now, when you sit on anything, your couch, bed, a bench out in the park, this should influence your dog to settle and lie down on the floor. Your dog does not have to stay lying down. They may sit or stand, but they should not crowd your space. We reward down consistently, so it becomes their default choice whenever we sit down somewhere and stop moving. Now, the second visual cue we're going to look at is when we open the door. Whenever you open the door, your dog should back up with you or back up and stay beside you on the left side. Both are acceptable. Now, whenever you open the door, we also want the dog to not perform certain behaviors. We don't want the dog to move forward when the door opens, as this will prevent door darting out into areas that you don't want them to go, unsafe exits, or overexcitement at the threshold if you've got guests coming over. Doorways often signal excitement and loss of control, and teaching your dog to back up with you keeps your dog engaged, stable, and safe. The last thing that we want is for your dog to get out into the neighborhood and you being unable to find them. This will help prevent that. Now, our third visual cue is open versus closed arms. Now, open arms means that your dog is invited to receive affection, kind of like opening them up for a hug. Closed arms, or arms not open, means that your dog needs to give you or whichever person's closing their arms space. Now, this will help prevent jumping up on people, rushing into people's space, and it's especially helpful when your guests come over so that your dog waits for an invitation from them to be invited to inside of their space. Now, in closing, these are going to be your foundational commands and visual cues available to you and your dog. You can always add more behaviors as you feel is needed, but this gives you a clear, structured, excellent starting point for building a calm, reliable, and well-mannered dog. And that's going to be very important throughout this entire training process. As always, I'm Luke Schneider with Breyers Canine Academy. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.
This has been a Breyers Canine Academy training video. Thank you for watching.